good evening, and welcome to Tea Time.
Everybody, welcome to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me. It is May 9th, and it is a beautiful day here on Long Island. Boy, was it very different yesterday for Mother's Day. I'm going to talk about my weekend real quick and then get to my guest. Friday, I really didn't do much. I basically stayed home learning lines because I'm filming a show this week. And Saturday, I really spent most of the day preparing for Mother's Day because I hosted Mother's Day yesterday. I did a Mother's Day brunch at my house, and there were 14 of us, and I loved doing it. I had scrambled eggs and bacon and sausage and pancakes, and my mother made an artichoke pie. My sister bought the bagels from Queens, and I made a tuna salad. We had tons of food and desserts, and I had to cheat a little yesterday, and I had myself a mini cannoli, which I loved. And Bobby's going to put up a picture of my beautiful mother, Jean Canastraci, and my daughter, Valerie Manzo. That was actually taken the day that we celebrated my daughter's engagement, but that was just like a couple of weeks ago. There's Mama Jean, and Valley. So, yeah, 3 generations right there, and none of us look at all alike, I think. I don't know. All right, so anyway, I want to give a shout-out also to Kristen Tinsley. My girl is doing a show here at Beautiful Paradise Studios on May 14th. Bobby's going to put up that flyer, too. So please get your tickets. It is going to be a fabulous show. Diva Nation Darlings, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So that's here on the 14th. So hopefully I'll see you here on the 14th, and that'll be great. Thank you, Bobby, for doing that. Also, I just want to give a shout out, Coaster's Tavern in East Meadow on Newbridge Road. Every Monday night they actually have an open mic there for comics who want to try out new material. And every Tuesday night they have poker night there. And Friday the 14th, if you can't come to Massapequa and you want to go to East Meadow, they'll be doing karaoke with my friend Dennis. And also, they're going to be having a live band there Saturday night, too. So, you know what? There's things to do all over Long Island. All right, I want to get to my guest. And he is a comedian, he's a producer, he's an author, and he is a casting agent. And he's a friend of mine who I met a few years ago, Tom Chiarella. Hello, Tom.
Hello.
How are you?
Great to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. You know, we have to tell everyone, I put on Facebook who my guest is going to be. And everyone knows that I actually was going to have Rhonda Shear here. And Rhonda Shear is a comedian. She was on Up All Night. Now she sells her bra and undies on HSN. And I am a loyal customer, and I love them. And Rhonda has to reschedule with me. And then I have my friend Ralph Bracco coming in tonight, and unfortunately he had a family emergency, and Tom, who I've been talking to lately, said, you know what, I want to come down and I want to watch the show live, see what you do, check out the studio. And Tom is so gracious enough to step in for me and be my guest. So I want to thank you for that.
Great to be here. Great
so
studio.
Impromptu, right? Mm-hmm. So we're just gonna fly by the seat of our pants. Like I mentioned, Tom started out in comedy, comedian, producer, author, and now a casting agent. So let's start out by where you grew up. You grew up in Queens, right?
Famous Ozone Park. Queens.
Ozone Park. And where did you go to school there?
Well, for a short period of time until I got removed was
Removed? That's a nice way of putting it, Tom.
Yeah, they asked me if I wanted to go to junior high school 210, so I obliged, and
Right.
they paid me off, and I went there.
Where'd you go to high school?
John Adams
Okay.
was there. John
All right. So
Adams.
when you were in school, because we know you got into comedy, we're going to talk about that. But I want to know, in school, what were you funny? Were you funny in school?
I was getting in a lot of trouble in school.
You
doing,
are?
doing impressions of the teachers. and
Right,
it just,
right.
I loved going to school. I never played hooky because it was like it was a show to me every day going to school. And at one point, I remember it clearly at 210, the principal, the dean, all of them, they got it that I was just funny. So
Right,
they
right,
actually
right.
had me at the end of each class go
Right.
up in front of the class
Get out of here, really?
and do impressions of all the teachers and the principal, and I remember looking at them, they loved it. It was hysterical. They were like, it was
Wow.
great. So, at that time I wasn't getting paid,
Right.
to do
Well,
comedy.
no, I could understand
But I
that.
but I loved it, and it was really
That's really cool.
my starting point.
Did you go to college after high school, or did you
No,
go into
no.
a trade, or did
yeah.
you? What'd you do?
I went to a trade school
Yeah,
after
yeah. A lot of people did back then.
John Adams. By the way,
Yeah.
John Adams High School.
Yes.
Jackie Gleason went to John Adams High School.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Jackie Gleason.
And Jack Lord from Hawaii Five-0,
Wow.
Bernadette Peters, lot of
He's got a
Jackie.
nice famous alumni out
Yeah.
of there.
So I went to John Adams and for a year, and
Yeah.
got in a little bit of trouble. Thought it'd be funny if I lit off
Does Tom, does trouble follow you, or do you follow trouble?
hand in hand. We are partners. I have to tell you. So I remember, I thought it'd be funny if I lit off firecrackers in math class.
Oh
and,
my gosh.
They didn't think it was so funny, so I actually got, the cops came in and, they took me away, and I, spent a half hour in a correctional
Like a
facility.
detention
Yeah,
thing?
but then,
Wow.
so then again, I was asked if I would like to not go back to school and get my GED,
Okay.
which
all
I
right,
did.
All right.
And from that, I went to a trade school.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
actually Westinghouse High School in Brooklyn,
Oh, nice.
who
Okay.
was George Westinghouse, who was partners with Nikolai Tesla. So I was very drawn
Wow.
to go to that school, and I took cabinet making.
Nice.
So I went there. I graduated there. They were actually paying me to go to school back then. It was really strange. I was getting my
Wow.
GED,
Yeah.
getting paid to go to learn a trade.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 17, I had my own little cabinet shop in my grandmother's house on 105th Street.
That's great.
And I was making vanities and wall
Yeah.
units for people. And that
So you're
continued.
good with your hands.
Yeah, yes. Yes, it was a very specialized trade.
Yeah,
cabinet
yeah.
making.
Oh no, absolutely. That is a gift. Not everyone
Yeah.
can do that. Let me tell you.
And that followed me along, but it was really because of my upbringing in Ozone Park. There were a lot of entrepreneurs. It was very business-minded
Right, right.
community. So I stayed as a cabinet maker, and I
Mm-hmm.
actually did over 600 kitchens and countertops
Wow.
in Howard Beach, Ozone Park, Queens, Brooklyn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All over. I was one of the number one guys when I was
Nice.
between 18 and 24.
That's great. Well, when you do it for yourself at home, you save a lot in labor.
Yeah.
You know?
My grandmother wasn't happy because sometimes I had to take parts off the boiler to finish a job. So we had no heat for a day or
Oh,
two. But
man,
I said, let me get paid for the job. I'll get the boiler fixed.
That is funny. Well, listen, let's give some shout outs. Hi to Ann and Dominic and Mickey Delaney. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please like the show. Please share it. Tea Time is on every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Channel 20 for people on Long Island who get Optimum. You can watch me there too, but I'm so glad you're tuning in because Tom is a sweetheart. I met Tom, we actually met pre-COVID. Oh my God, I don't know what year, if it was 2017 or 2018, but it was something like that. And we actually met at a
Belmore Theater.
screening premiere, right, at the Belmore Theater. I was in a movie with Fred Carpenter. I played a prostitute, and I had some lines.
She was very
and
good. She was very good.
Thank you. And it was called Interview with a Hitman, and that's where we originally met.
We met, and
Yeah.
it was a great cast. I mean, they were all there. It was really nice to be at the screening to
I know.
see everybody
I know.
there.
Isn't it nice when you walk the red carpet? It's so cool.
And another great Archie Snowden.
Yes.
You know,
yeah,
who
yeah.
actually invited me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then we met, and
We
you know,
met and we hit it
continued-
off,
We
and then
continued talking.
Yeah, we did, and then and then I learned that you started in comedy back in 1979
That was my first time
at
ever.
Catch
Yeah.
a Rising Star.
New York City, yes.
So tell me about that. What made you want to get up on
what made me,
stage?
you know,
Well, I know it's not no one made you, but
Right.
you had the passion to
well,
get up and tell
well, the
jokes, which is not an
transition-
easy thing to do, people.
Yeah, so the transition was going from being funny in school and had everybody thinking you're hysterical,
Right?
to now going to a professional place and seeing if that was going to work.
Exactly.
So here I was, 1979. Who was on stage that night? Rodney was there.
wasn't?
Seinfeld, Gary Shandling, Dennis Miller, Kevin Meaney. All the greats were there. I'm sitting at the bar, this young guy going, my first time ever. I thought I was cool. I had my
Now,
really
did you take any
thin shirt.
comedy classes at all before that?
No, nothing to do with
Okay.
with that. To me, it was all natural. To me, it was
Okay.
all personality. It
Right,
was all
right,
spontaneous,
yes.
being fun.
Yeah.
Now writing material.
And did you have
became-
what, like a 5-minute set?
Yeah, they
when
gave you 5 minutes.
Yeah,
they gave you 5
that's what the
minutes. So
norm
I had,
is. Yeah.
I had what everybody does when they start. They think sex is funny. They think bathroom humor is funny. So I went up and did that. After watching what they were doing, I was like, wow, I got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But that was my first time, and then I studied more of the greats of who was
Right,
doing
right,
comedy and
right.
who was getting somewhere. But I always did pride myself on doing something nobody else was doing.
Right.
I didn't want to follow the fold. I didn't want to be like this guy and what this person did. I said, I want to do what I do.
Right. Right.
And it worked. And then years later, I got on the scene, and then
Well, when I know you actually went into producing shows, but what I wanted to know was when you produced, did you also get up at the same time?
Yeah, well, what happened was back then, there were clubs in the city that, there was just an influx of people were starting to do it now.
Yes.
So there was, a big producer. He was producing at the Eagle Tavern called Tim Andre Davis. I remember, and Eddie Stanley were producing a show
Yeah.
at the Eagle Tavern. So we would go there and on a Tuesday night, and if you were lucky to get on,
Right.
you would do your time, and then you would meet all the other comedians that were there, and see if you could, hey, I got to know a place over here. So there was more camaraderie back then when I first started. People were helping each other out.
Yes. Yes.
So after seeing that, wow, how do you get great like the way they were doing?
Right.
It was starting my own rooms in Queens,
Right.
which is what I did.
Yeah.
So in 1985, I went
Where was
to,
your first room in Queens?
It was a place called Empty Pockets on Queens Boulevard.
Ah,
It was across from Queens Center Mall.
I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
Yeah. And we did shows on Sunday nights.
Uh-huh.
But really from that, because I was one of the only producers really in Queens, Ozone
Queens,
Park.
right? Because when you think about
Yeah.
it, back then in Queens, well, I started in the early '90s, but Jimmy's Comedy Alley
Jimmy's in
was
Bayside,
the
that was-
place in Queens and Bayside. There really weren't too many other places. as
Not
far as
professional.
No, not professional. It was, you had Jimmy's in Bayside in Queens. I know back then you had Grandpa's in Staten Island.
Yeah, Al Lewis.
Yep, I did that. And then you had, and out here you had many places like, Menavini's Place, Eastside Comedy Club. You had Concoma
which I
Comedy.
started, yep.
You had so many different
Chuckles
places.
in Mineola.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah, there were a lot of places.
But in Queens, there wasn't a lot. So I found a niche that, to go out and open up your own club is $250,000.
Oh, yeah,
So I
yeah,
said,
yeah.
let me go to places that are already operating, bars
Right,
and restaurants.
right.
I built little stages. I
Yeah.
got a couple of sound systems.
yeah.
And before you know it, there was a time when I had almost 17 comedy rooms going in Queens.
Wow.
Different nights, different times. I had a few different sound systems. Other people would help run the shows. Now, they didn't all last. I would always
No.
have a commitment
Yeah,
of at
yeah,
least
yeah.
4 shows.
All right, that's good.
Right.
That's
And
a good
some
start.
of the places, there was one place, 11th Alley on Metropolitan Avenue.
Okay.
Myrtle Avenue. That went
Yeah, yeah,
for a while. That was the best room that I had.
Really?
Then there was I saved all the articles, which brings me to today. Like, I have all the memorabilia
Oh, isn't that great?
from 1979 to now, with everybody's
Wow.
headshots. And,
Yeah.
you know, even Joe Rogan, you know, we did a show
Yeah,
in Port
Joe.
Jefferson.
All right, listen, don't mention any more names. We're going to take my first break, but when we come back, he's got a laundry list of names that he's worked with and jump-started some careers. So stay right there, don't go away. We'll be right back after this. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Coasters Tavern is located at 487 New Bridge Road in East Meadow. Their number's 516-557-2222.
Well, hi there, Teresa. It's John York from General Hospital. I am just checking in because apparently you have a great talk show called Tea Time on Strong Island TV. I want you to have continued great success and have a lot of fun. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun, and that's pretty much the key to everything, isn't it? So continued success. I'm proud of you. Have a great day, Teresa. Bye.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight because I have my friend here. He is a comedian, he's a producer, he's an author, and he's a casting agent. Tom Chiarella is here, and better known back in the day as Tommy Cheese. Tell me how you got that nickname.
That was a long story. My basketball coach, who I was in the gym next door
Yes.
to my house
Right.
all day playing
Oh, so
basketball.
it has nothing to do with comedy,
Well,
huh?
no,
It
well, they
started
called me
in
the
school?
gym rat. He was like,
Oh, the gym
they
rat.
would call me the gym
Oh.
rat. And then from that, he's like, you're Cheesarella, right? Cheesarella, well, now you're Cheese. So
Oh,
it was
that's
like,
funny.
that stuck with me like my whole life. My
Right.
father was, Mr. Cheese, Mr. and Mrs.
Oh, that is
Cheese.
so
That's
funny.
Cheese's sister, Cheese's cousin. It was kind of what it was. So it was, the name I used in comedy.
Wow.
Really,
So everyone knew
IRS
you back
purposes.
then, back in the day, as Tommy Cheese. That's what. That's how they
that was it.
introduced you to stage.
Well, add just cheese and Tommy
Just
cheese
cheese
or
sometimes.
cheese. Yeah. it was
Wow.
Still today, it was
Really?
55
Well,
years
listen, I
later.
wanna. Before the break, you started mentioning some people that you, worked with, and you were there in the beginning of their career.
Yes.
So tell
Start
me
with,
who. Start with who?
Well,
because
when
you,
I got the room in Howard Beach,
Yes.
it was a room called Butterfingers in
yes,
Howard
yes,
Beach.
yeah, uh-huh.
And I had been told to go up, and that'd be a good place to start comedy.
Uh-huh.
And I did, and it was kind of like not so much an open mic. They were booked acts on the show, but the very first show that I did, it was kind of like, hey, come on down, we're going to try out comedy.
Right.
And it was, the lineup was Dave Attell,
David Tell.
who is one of the greatest comedy writers in
Yep.
stand-up history, and a young guy and this tall woman. They were called the Long and Short of Comedy.
Really?
And it was John Leguizamo and his partner Carolyn, and they just went up, and when they were introduced, they went up and they just started smacking each other in the face and going like this, and a woman came down from the Queen's
Wow.
Chronicle,
Yeah.
which was the big newspaper there.
Right,
I
right,
saved
right.
the article.
Yeah.
And the woman said in the article that this guy, John Leguizamo, is going to be a movie star.
Wow.
His first time ever on stage.
Amazing.
So, did I start his career? No, I just had
You
an
gave
opportunity.
him but you gave him a platform, right?
Yes.
And you gave a lot of people platforms.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah,
yes.
you mentioned Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, yeah, we worked together at a place for Rick Morgan called Goodfellas.
Okay.
Goodfellas, in the Port Jeff, I believe it was.
Yeah.
And he was starting. I opened for him, and he went up, and he was just amazing. And,
Yeah.
And
what about one of my faves from Jerry Maguire, Jay Moore?
Jay Moore. Jay
Yeah.
Moore, yeah. He also.
What about Jay?
We did a show together in New Jersey. Again, Rick Morgan. I think it was Pat Gaynor was his partner or something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But everybody that I did a show with, either I got their business card or their,
Right.
a flyer
You're making
or something.
connects. You're networking.
Jay Moore and Jay Moore called himself the
I love
comedic
him.
core.
He's the comedic
All
core.
right. It was a 201 on a napkin because he didn't have a business card.
is
And the same
so
thing with Joe Rogan.
funny. Yeah.
Signed the napkin with his phone number at the time. I think it was 914, whatever it was. But he was going to, because very, very shortly after that, he got on, what was the show?
Which one?
Joe Rogan. With Phil Hartman. News Radio.
Oh, yeah.
News Radio and Andy Dick. So he got on that show.
Right.
And Jay Moore was on a show, I think, called Camp Wilder.
Yes.
And then he went to Saturday Night Live.
Wow.
Another one of my favorites, loved her, Lisa Ann Walters. She's an author. She's been in a lot of movies.
Yeah,
She
yeah, yeah.
started on Rockaway Boulevard
Wow.
at a place that I had.
Speaking about starting, I have to go back to the beginning for a minute
Mm.
because your parents were off Broadway.
Yeah, way off Broadway, like
Well, I know,
in
I
the
was-
7-Eleven at Ozone.
No, I've been way off Broadway. I said I've been at the curb. I've been at the curb, yeah. But
Well, they were
but your
local
parents-
theater.
But your parents were in the industry.
Actors, yeah, they were actors. They were big in the musicals in Ozone Park, Queens.
Yeah.
They did everything from Guys and Dolls.
I
They
love
were the lead
that.
roles to
Yeah.
and Bye Bye Birdie and South Pacific and Annie Get Your Gun.
Isn't that
and
great?
Just all of them. And here I am in this tough neighborhood in Ozone Park,
What did they
Queens.
think when you told them, I think I want to get into stand-up comedy?
Well, they were both dead at the time.
Oh, jeez.
So they didn't have a lot to say.
Oh, my God, I'm so sorry.
No, but I.
Jesus, Tom. Alrighty then. But what did you think they would have said?
Well, my father did come to a show or two.
Oh, thank God.
But it was.
Did he laugh?
Yeah, it was. All
right.
Like I said, it was,
Because family and friends can be
I
very
was
critical.
a bringer. I bought my.
Yeah, bring a show.
My father and his wife came to the show, so
Yeah.
It went from that, and again, I was doing stuff. That's where the little book came from. It was a little joke book.
Yeah,
I
let's
was
talk
doing
about
these,
that. You're an author. You wrote a book.
Well, it was a little joke book.
Hey! You wrote a book.
I did. I
Okay,
did.
what was it called?
It was called The Philosophy of Socrates. And it was all these little stories about
Oh my God, that's
soaps,
great.
detergents, and cleaners, and I was putting the words together, pun stories of all these different things.
Yeah.
And then I actually went out and got all the products, and I was doing it on stage, almost like a Gallagher type of act.
So you
I
worked
had
with
props.
props too?
I did back then, yeah.
Yeah.
And then everything was memorized, so I would just do it that way. But there was
Right.
nothing like actually
Right.
having the products next to me, and that did very well. But it was a lot of work setting everything up. And,
Yeah. I'm
so,
sure.
So I went from that just to just straight stand up and
Wow.
still
So your
producing
dad got
shows.
to see you, and that's good. That's
Yeah.
a good thing that you kind of like. You wanted to be a performer like your parents, which is
Yeah,
in a
well,
different venue, but you did it.
I did, but the thing is that I just could not. My father told me when I was younger, he says, I said, Dad, I want a job that's fun. I want to laugh all the time. He's like, work is not supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And I said, well, because he worked at the county clerk's office in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So he was loved there by everyone because he was
Yeah.
a very charming guy,
Sure.
but he was not
Well,
a
the apple doesn't fall
businessman.
far from the tree,
Right.
Tom.
But he wasn't a businessman. He
Yeah.
wasn't. He just wanted to go to work.
Right.
Yeah. But he, did teach me a lot about cabinet making because I used all his tools in the beginning to learn the trade.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting that, like I said, you started in a time back in the late 70s, early 80s, when you were able to see these upcoming performers who were really not known yet. I mean, again, like Jay Moore, you mentioned John Leguizamo and Dave Attell, Joe Rogan. I mean, when I was coming up in the early 90s, Jimmy's was my home base
Yeah,
club,
Jimmy's was great.
and I got to see Seinfeld and Dice and just everyone there. Jackie, that's where I met Jackie, the Joke Man Martling, and Richie Burns and Joey Cola, and a lot of the people from Long Island, because you have to travel as a comic to do different shows. When you were producing, did your hub stay in New York? Did you expand outside of New
No,
York?
I was always in Queens.
Right.
A little bit in Long Island, but mostly in Queens.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was working for people that had rooms in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Virginia and Ohio, and I would do a 2-week tour through
Okay.
Ohio with Dennis Ross, rest his soul. He was, great guy. We traveled together. We would do a 2-week tour.
Right.
We would do a college, different rooms and that, and I have to tell you, Ohio, West Virginia were the most fun, friendly people
Yeah.
out of anywhere that I played, so I used to love to go back there.
Nice. That's great. So tell me about, because you transitioned again, you've worn many hats throughout your career and your lifetime. You also got into real estate and you became a landlord.
Right. Before that, it would have been the toys. That,
Yeah, the
my
toys. So
vintage
you
toy
want to talk
collection.
about that? It's called Back in Time Traveling Show. And that's when you and I actually reconnected when I was at Tri-County.
Tri-County Jewelry Exchange.
Right on Hempstead Turnpike. And I am walking around and all of a sudden, I don't know if you called me or I turned around and I saw you, but you had all these toys. And we're not talking regular today's toys. We're talking old, vintage toys that bring back such wonderful memories, whether it's a Slinky or an etch and sketch or
Silly Putty.
Silly Putty. Right. Oh my God, I love playing
Rock'em
with.
Sock'em Robots.
Yes.
The biggest
So
one.
tell me, because that's where you were for a little bit. So tell me how this Back in Time Traveling Show started, and then how you acquired all these wonderful toys.
Obsessed. We didn't have a lot as kids, so whenever we got a toy or a game, I took very good care of it. I would, put everything back together.
Do you know how I got excited? I got excited not only over Slinky, but pickup sticks. Do you remember pickup sticks? I was obsessed with pickup sticks
little
because
container.
it was just a little container with these colored sticks, and you had to lift them up and not touch one. If one moved, you lost your turn and stuff. I was like obsessed with it. Me and my mom would play all the time, but we made sure we play on carpet, so it was a little easier.
Yeah. They were basically giant toothpicks.
Yes!
That, you could stab. People were getting stabbed with them. It was a little different in our household.
Oh my
People
God,
were getting
that's so
hurt
funny.
with the games we were playing.
So what was the first old toy you said, I want this, and I
G.I.
have an idea?
G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe.
The G.I. Joe underwater Sea Explorer with the helmet and the tubes and the leaded shoes and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
weights,
yeah, yeah.
and he would go down.
Yeah.
And because G.I. Joe was created because they had to have something to rival Barbie.
Okay.
And here's a little trivia for everyone out there. Barbie.
Barbie.
Her real name is Barbara Millicent Roberts. That was
Really?
her real name. So they needed a toy to combat with what she was doing.
Yes.
So they came up with G.I. Joe, and then they came up with all these different types of G.I. Joes. In
Right.
the beginning, they were painted heads.
Right. And then they had real hair.
Then they had
Remember
the
the real
lifelike hair and
Yes.
the kung fu grip
Right,
and everything.
right.
And there are guys that have just, hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of G.I. Joes.
Wow.
In the original packages,
You see, well,
unopened.
here's the thing. We had talked about this. I have my original Shirley Temple doll.
It's a good one.
I Dream a Genie doll.
The big one.
Yep, the big one. My sister has her Donnie and Marie dolls from back in the day. I have my original Cabbage Patch doll. I have my original Barbie doll from 1965. Okay.
Okay.
All right. None of these are in the original packaging, Tom. Okay. And I'm sure when you got your first G.I. Joe doll, you took them out and played with them.
Right. Yes. You
Okay.
did. No one knew.
So tell everyone how important it is, because sometimes what I would do is I would buy two. I would play with one and keep one in the packaging. But how important is it for it to be in that original packaging?
Well, now, because collecting has become an obsession for many,
Yeah, I
many
mean, there's
people.
conventions for this.
Yeah, well, they started out, G.I. Joe used to have a convention on the Intrepid in Manhattan.
Wow.
And guys would dress up like G.I. Joes. They'd have a pull string in their back, and they'd be walking around, and they were obsessed with it. And I've been to the G.I. Joe convention
Right.
where I've spent a few $1,000s because the thing about G.I. Joe was you wanted to complete him, and there were little
Right.
pieces that went along with,
Right.
with each
right.
outfit.
Yes. All
And
the
then there were
accessories.
all the accessories.
Yes.
And then there were guys that only collected in the box, unopened by human hands,
Wow.
and that's what they did. And that's very expensive.
Well, I had told you I have Matchbox cars that I collected as
and
a
I'm,
kid.
I'm looking to, I want to see them.
Yeah,
Yes, I do want to see
they're
them.
great. I was obsessed with for a girl, that's not the norm, but I was obsessed with, because I love beautiful cars, and I love old cars, like a 57 Chevy with the white wheel tires and real chrome on a car. It's like artwork. So I was obsessed with Matchbox cars, and I collected them
You could,
for
yeah,
years. So yes, I will show you my collection. I don't think any of
I
them
get
are
the
in
privilege.
I don't think any of them are in the original packaging because I'd like to take them out and line them up and park them. And maybe Barbie was getting picked up in a small minivet that night. I don't know.
use them as roller skates.
I don't know. Well, listen, before we take my second break, shout out to my girl Grace Guidotti Matranga, watching from the Boogie Dam Bronx, and Deborah. Thank you everyone for watching the show. Please like it, please share it. More with Tom when we come back. Don't go away. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Coasters Tavern is located at 487 New Bridge Road in East Meadow. Their number's 516-557-2222.
Welcome to Sunday Dinner with Chef Clemente. This is an all-new show about family cooking, Sunday dinner, things we did as a child, bringing back some memories and some traditions. This is how this dish was born. I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. So, the trick with the meatballs too, when you fry them, you don't want to overcrowd the pan too much. A bit of drizzle, not too much of olive oil, right on top of that fish. So, a little flour. A little egg, cella luna, met somebody, everybody drink some wine. Prosciutto going. Pass them around, everybody eat a little bit, come on. You gotta dance. Oh my God! Get together, go visit your mother, your sister, your cousin, bring some pastry, some food, get together, eat, drink, be happy. Who wants some linguine, clams, and pastry?
How you doing? It's Sal the Voice Valentinetti. Why are you watching me? You should be watching Teresa Canastraci Tea Time with Teresa Canastraci Farrell. And make sure you follow Teresa on Facebook, Tea Time with Teresa Canastraci Farrell. We'll see you there.
I love the way you say my name. I love. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me. I'm with Tommy Cheese. He's a comedian, producer, author, and casting agent, Tom Chiarella, and better known as Tommy Cheese, which I just learned that tonight. But we were talking about old toys, old vintage toys, like he was mentioning Slinky, Etch and Sketch, Silly Putty, Thumbelina. I had a Thumbelina back then. I have my Shirley Temple doll, my I Dream of Jeannie doll. My sister has her Donnie and Marie dolls. You know, there are certain things that I'm so happy my mother held on to, So it's called Back in Time Traveling Show. And if you go to backintimetravelingshow.com, you could actually, get in touch with Tom and say, hey, I've got this, or I've got that, and what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Do you sell any of the collectibles?
Yeah, I sell some stuff.
Because like I said, we were in Tri-County, and I was salivating seeing what you have. Tell me, really quickly about the Rodney Dangerfield game that you just mentioned.
Well, a lot of the games that I have, and this came when I was traveling doing comedy, during the day as a comedian, you basically were in the hotel room. You know, the show wasn't until 7, 8 o'clock at night. So I
Right,
would go
right.
to flea markets, I'd go to tag sales,
Yeah.
and I found
That's
a
right up my
niche
alley, baby.
with television show board games,
Okay.
from F Troop to I Dream of Jeannie
Wow.
to some of the rarest ones
F
is
Troop.
Hawaii Five-0.
Okay.
With Jack Lord on
Excuse
that.
me.
I actually had that one. That one I traded for the G.I. Joe Nurse, which is the rarest, one of the rarest toys in the world.
Really? Is that what's the rarest thing in your collection?
Probably the G.I. Joe Nurse.
The G.I. Joe
It's not the most
Nurse.
expensive. It's about 7,000.
Madonna.
But because
You have,
boys
I'm hoping
didn't
you
want.
have everything insured.
Yes, of course.
Holy
But
cannoli.
nobody wanted the G.I. Joe Nurse
No
because
one wanted
they
it.
No, because it was like a Barbie. But she
Really?
came in this package, and
Right.
she had the nurse
Yes,
thing,
yes.
the
I remember
stethoscope,
Barbie as a
the
nurse.
IV
Yes,
bottle.
yes.
So if you could find it, there's two versions, one with the brown saddle bag, one with the white bag.
Do you think it would have sold better if they just said G.I. Joe Doctor or Dr. G.I. Joe?
No, I don't know what the reasoning was. Don Levine was the big G.I. Joe creator back then,
Yeah.
so I followed his career. I don't know the exact reason, but
Wow.
it became very rare, and so now if you go on eBay, you can look and see loose with missing pieces,
Really?
dirty stockings, a
Right,
shoe missing.
right,
It's still
right.
thousands of dollars.
And you have it in the box.
I have one.
Pristine. Wow, that is so cool. But getting back to Rodney real quick, you had the Rodney Dangerfield game.
I still have, Rodney Dangerfield board game.
and he
which came,
signed it. You said he signed
Yes,
it for
yes.
you. That's
and
sweet.
sealed. This was
Nice.
way back when. Well, I
Yeah.
bought it to him.
Yeah.
Because it was, they're still out there, like you could still find some on eBay.
Right, right.
But some things, I really got obsessed when I saw that, I didn't have a 401k because I've always been independent. So
Right.
I kind of did this as like my toy 01k,
Yes,
where I
yes,
would have
yeah.
these toys that eventually would bring me,
Yeah,
riches
yeah.
and
well, look at
and
those
fame.
the Pokemon cards that came
Right,
back.
That's the newer. The G.I. Joe has always been the biggest collectible. Then people got into collecting Star Wars. That was took off like a rocket. I was
Yes.
actually working with a guy in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
My friend Bob Mason. He lived in Mill Basin,
Mm-hmm.
and he was the one who told me about this magazine called Toy Shop, and he was spending his whole check on Star Wars toys, figures, cookie jars, robots, everything to do with Star Wars. He spent
Wow.
tens and thousands of dollars on them, and he put them in his attic.
Okay.
And then, like 20 years later,
Yeah.
he started selling them on this. And when he
Right.
was showing me what he was getting, because there was no eBay back then, there was no
Right.
social media, it
Right.
was sold through magazines.
Wow.
And then I was like, wow. I said, man, I want to start that. So I started back then, even after all the stuff I had, with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay. All right.
And
that
now
was big
they
back
are
in the day.
so big.
Yeah.
With April O'Neil and Leonardo and all the guys. So they had all sorts of things and games. I mean, you could literally spend $1,000 a week just on toys. And that's what we were doing.
Well,
We
I
go
told
to
you my
Toys R Us.
my favorite game when I was a kid was Trouble. I loved the game
Yeah,
Trouble.
still have
I
with
hated
those-
Monopoly because I went bankrupt all the time, but I loved Trouble. And I actually have. You have to tell me what year that originally came out because I have
What, Monopoly?
Trouble because I have an old like it's got to be one of the
You know
originals.
what? You're gonna go. It was made by Kona, I believe.
I gotta look
and it was-
downstairs.
But remind me to tell you something about Monopoly. This is really, really important.
Okay.
So the Kona game, I think it was 1965, was Trouble.
I
when it
gotta
first
look.
came out. Now you gotta look. You're gonna call me. He's
It's
right.
either it says
1965.
65 or 66. I'm gonna have to check. But
Right. Well,
I
here was the
loved-
most amazing thing. If you know,
Yeah.
this was Monopoly.
Yes, Monopoly.
So because I do toy appraisals for
Yes,
people
yes.
call me and they go, "Hey, I've got this. Could you tell me a price?" I said, they could do their own research. You go on eBay, see what things sell for. So about 10 years ago, I get a phone call from a woman,
Yeah.
and it comes through on the caller ID, Darrow. Okay, so I'm
Okay.
talking to her. She goes, "Oh, hi, just I have this very rare Monopoly game, and I'd like to know, what the value is of it."
Okay.
And so I'm talking to her, and I said, can you give me some idea of this and that? And she says, well, I saw your website, and My great-grandfather was Charles Darrow, who invented Monopoly back in the late 1880s.
Holy
I'm like,
cow.
wow, so what is it the game you have? She says, I have the original prototype, all carved out of wood, that he was trying to sell to Parker Brothers, but they wanted nothing to do with it because they were the toy company and we don't want this. So he made 500 games, I believe, of Monopoly, and he sold them to different people.
Right.
And now Parker Brothers was interested because now he had a track record,
Right.
and they actually bought the game. Right after they bought the game, they got sued by somebody else who had a game called the Landlord Game.
Okay.
And they were trying to claim copyright infringement. So it was interesting to see that the game Monopoly is all about going bankrupt and being sued and all of this
Right,
stuff.
right.
And here she is. So this was Charles.
Don't collect $200. Go straight to jail.
So I looked it up for her, and I got in touch with like the president of the Monopoly Association, and there were all these crews, and he was like, "Well, I'd offer $7,000 for it."
Wow.
And so I called her because I put it on eBay just to see what would happen,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then I was getting blown up with email. Do you know what you have? And blah blah blah.
So you actually met with her and
No,
for
she
it?
sent me all the pictures.
Oh, she sent you pictures.
She sent me because she lived at a place called 8 Mile Island in North Carolina.
Oh, okay,
And I
okay,
believe
okay.
she said I found out it's one of the richest places in the world to live.
Really?
So we became friends, and so I got her the value. It was, I said somebody offered $7,000. Now it could be worth more. She didn't want to sell it. She just wanted to know a value.
to know.
So she paid me.
Yeah, I mean that's something
to-
that's like a family heirloom.
It's in her showcase.
That's like something you want to pass on to your
Right.
children.
Yeah, because when you see these pieces that
It's
were
history. It's
hand-carved,
history.
it really is, because that
Wow.
was. So
That's-
that was one of the
that's
most interesting
wild.
calls. Then I got a call. I met the family that
Yeah.
Remco family, which was
Remco.
they made a lot of toys, and they made. Marx made the Rock'em Sock'em robots, but they did a lot of different.
My brother had
toys.
Rock'em Sock'em Robot.
That was Marx, yeah, with the arena
Yeah,
and the
in the
scorecards.
beginning, they actually were able to move,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they came out with the version where that you couldn't move them back and forth. Remember?
Yep, and their heads pop out.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have the version I have right now. I put masks around the two guys so that they could try to stay 6 inches
Listen, I'm
apart.
speaking with my friend Tom Chiarella. Tom is a comedian, he's a producer, he's an author, and he's a casting agent. And I want to say hi, good evening to Bruno and Stu. Hi, Stu. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. So, again, you could go to backintimetravelingshow.com. So, Tom, what should people look for in their attics? Because after this show, everyone's going to run upstairs and say, I got to look for some toys from, back from my childhood. What should people look for?
Okay, this is like Soupy Sales when he told everybody to get $1 out of their parents' pocketbook. Really, anything that is in the attic that your kids had, pieces of a box, cardboard, anything, instructions are big too, because that you need that to complete playing a game.
Okay.
And people find some amazing stuff. Robots are always, they made so many different types of robots.
Yeah.
I had one of the rarest robots in the world. It's called Big Lou. It was almost 4 feet tall, and his
Really?
eyes lit up, and he.
Because I used to watch
he
Lost in
moved.
Space. Remember the robot for Lost in
Yeah,
Space?
he's still around there. That's about,
Yeah.
that in the box, depending on if it's blue or red and what the dome, the condition, is about $1,000 in the original box. Wow. Even out of the box, as long as it's working, the thing is that
Right.
the battery compartments can't be corroded.
Yeah.
They've got to be
Yeah.
clean working.
I mean, look.
And then when people fix them,
Yeah.
bad. You don't want to touch anything up.
No, because you want to leave everything as original as possible.
Yeah, because if you take a chemical from 2022 and you clean something from
it
1960,
could take off the paint or the
Right.
it could dull it, ruin it.
so what I tell people is take what you have,
Right.
put it on eBay, or if you're going to
See
sell it,
what kind of
leave it
bites-
as is,
See
and
what kind of bites you get.
tell people in the description. I didn't want to clean it. I didn't want to do
right,
anything
as
to
is, right? As is,
and I have boxes. I was one of the only guys that did this. I would get a toy, and the box would be all like crushed and concave
Yeah,
and this
yeah.
and that. And I found a way to open up the box and flatten it out, and I would iron it like you iron. So I would iron the box nice and flat. and then I would glue it back together.
Oh my
And then
God.
I would put shrink wrap around it that I have now, because I have over 800 different vintage toys and games right now in the collection.
Wow.
So there isn't anything that I haven't seen, but I've sold a few collections. I had a G.I. Joe collection that I was
Right,
collecting
right.
for years, and after a while, you know,
What's the rarest thing? I mean, obviously the
Out there now?
Monopoly, but is there anything like?
comic. There's two comic books or three
Okay.
that have.
I have a Welcome Back Kotter comic book.
Welcome Back, Carter. Up your nose with a rubber hose.
Welcome Back Kotter. I
Vinnie
have.
Barbarino.
Wait, I have my Josie and the Pussycats.
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay, I've got some stuff, Tom.
right. No, they're really great conversation pieces.
Yeah, but not worth
the,
anything.
Superheroes. The
Superheroes?
comic books come Batman.
Like Wonder Woman.
A little bit, you know, more. I'd like to say more. I got to be honest with you. You know, the value is the
You
value.
know what? I think when I go home, I'm going in my attic and I'm gonna.
And you're gonna call me tonight.
Like I said, I have my original dolls and I have my Matchbox cars, and yeah, but there are a few things that you know.
Well, you know, they have. I
I'm
mean,
not
one
sure
woman
about.
found a baseball signed by Babe Ruth in her attic, and she went and she had a new house built, and it was a big article. They said it was the house that
Okay,
Ruth
I
built.
have something at home that is not authenticated. I'm not too sure how I would get it
It's an
authenticated.
autograph.
Yeah.
And autographs are tough because there's a lot of forgeries out there.
It's
There's
on
a lot of
artwork,
people.
and it looks like it's pen. It doesn't look like it's not duplicated. It's an original signature, but I have to find out if it's real or not.
Right, and you can send away to get things authenticated. It costs a lot of money to do that. Now
Yeah, I
it
was
takes a
gonna
lot of
say,
time.
yeah.
I know a friend of mine. He has the Kiss
But
dolls.
isn't there someone from like Sotheby's or that they
Steiner.
come to you, or they'll come to you and they'll say, yes, this is an original, or yes, this is what it's worth. Like it's kind of like the road show where you have an old, I got grandma's lamp here, and they'll say, oh, well, that's actually from the 1800s, and it's worth $5,000 or something.
That's actually really interesting. I was hired to do a few shows
Okay.
where people came in. It was
Yeah.
for a charity,
Yeah.
and I would appraise their toys for them.
Really?
And somebody appraised stamps, and somebody appraised coins.
Coins.
So it was like a full appraisal show.
Right,
But I have to tell you,
collectibles.
my line was really long. I saved all their names. I took one woman came in with 2 cap guns in the box from Hopalong Cassidy that she had in the attic, and my eyes lit up because they're bringing me stuff
yeah.
like what, especially in
Yeah.
the original boxes.
Yeah.
So she got the value of it because we go all to the websites to
Come
see
to
what.
Papa.
I
Let me see
don't
what
want to
you
sell
have.
it. I don't want to sell it. I don't want. But one woman came in with a robot, very rare, Great Garloo robot. He was a kind of a bigger robot,
Yeah.
as you know. He
Wow.
did certain things. So people have
So
amazing
cool.
stuff in their
It's just
attic.
so cool. Go up in your attic, look for old toys. You never know. And then you could contact Tom at backintimetraveling.com. We're going to take my last break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Tom's newest career as a casting agent. So don't go away. We'll be right back. So where do you want to go tonight?
Why don't we go to Coasters?
Oh, cool. I heard it's a great place. Let's check it out.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Oh my God.
Coasters Tavern is located at 487 New Bridge Road in East Meadow. Their number's 516-557-2222.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
This is a sexy show. Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey. The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor,
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor!
entertainment,
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
and optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
Who's the best comedian you know?
Teresa Farrell.
And who's the best actress you know?
Teresa Farrell.
And who's the best cast member in Bad Boys?
Teresa Farrell.
Who's got the best radio?
Teresa Farrell.
Stop. Who's your favorite guinea?
Teresa Farrell.
Who are you loving right now?
Teresa Farrell.
All right, Chuck. I love you too, baby.
Love you as always.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Tea Time. I'm so glad you're joining me tonight. This is a very impromptu guest, Tom Chiarella, other known as Tommy Cheese. He's a comedian, producer, he's an author, and he is a casting agent. Tom, tell me, you've been casting now for 2 years. How did you get into becoming a casting agent?
Well, I got originally asked by somebody to cast for them for
Yes.
what they were doing. It was a hospital commercial.
Okay.
And so what I did was, to become a casting agent, you have to get registered with the Breakdown Express and
Okay.
casting networks.
Mhm.
And you have to take a course, and you have to know what it is that you are looking for, what age range, whatever the producer or the director is looking for.
Right.
They tell me, and
Yes.
then I do the breakdown for them.
Right.
And I fill in all the information. Then I have to submit that for the LA and New York office to see if there are any corrections that have to be made, or what I can say and can't say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've been doing. So we've casted a bunch of times,
Yes.
and it's been successful.
Yeah.
And I'm looking to cast more
Yes.
for different projects.
Mhm.
And it's always great because the director, and the producer get to see all the people that submitted
Right.
for a particular show. I
Right.
casted a podcast, an upcoming series coming up.
Yes.
And it's great because they're all professionals. Their agency sends in everything for them. A lot of
Right.
people send stuff out on their own.
Yes.
And the director gets to choose out of, we usually get about between 800 and 1,000
That's what I was just going to
submissions.
ask you, because I'm on Actors Access, and people on Actors Access, casting networks, and they're backstage. There's a bunch out there, and you're submitting, and you're not the only one submitting, so it can be very overwhelming at times.
Yeah, not every part is right for every actor and actress. So
Right.
if they see something that they could fit into,
Right.
they submit. And sometimes it's a matter of just seeing that person go, this is going to be great for that. Then they still have to audition. And now,
Right.
of course, with all the CDC guidelines, everybody's got to be vaccinated and boosted, and
Yeah.
like a day or two before the actual
yeah. I
shoot.
mean, when I went out for something that and they said you have to get tested within 48 hours.
48 hours.
That's usually the norm.
It's
right?
pretty standard now. You actually have to have that on the breakdown, have that on the Actors Access too,
Right.
because they want to see all of that. Because the breakdown Express people, they want to make sure everything's there, because you have a lot of union actors, people paying a lot of money for dues, and
Mm-hmm.
and they want to have opportunities for these people to get work.
Yes.
And
Right.
it's always the director and the producer always make the final decision.
Correct.
I could make suggestions,
Right.
of who I thought might be good,
Right.
because if you're looking for a hotel maid, right, and actresses will send stuff in
Right.
dressed as a hotel maid.
Right.
Because they're understanding that,
Yeah.
well, I got a better shot because if nobody else is wearing a hotel
Correct.
outfit,
Yes.
then I have a better shot
Yeah.
at it.
Well, I told you on my IMDb, I had added pictures of me as a doctor, or a prostitute, or an old Italian woman, or it's nice to see diversity. That people can do.
I was saying that right from the beginning, even with me. Stand-up comedy is a starting platform for people to go into other things.
Right.
That's why I wrote the book in 1987. I found out all about how to get a copyright. I went to the Library of Congress. I wanted to know, they asked me, do you want a C in a circle? Do you want an R in a circle? And I went through this whole thing, and it wasn't much. I think I paid $165, and I saved the whole thing where it was copyrighted, and, you know, I didn't get it published. I was selling them at all the 7-Elevens, especially the one on 104th Street in Ozone Park, Queens, where I sold most of them. And I would sell them after shows. And the copyright office said you have to have two different prices. One was, what does it cost in Canada?
And what does it cost in the U.S.?
It was $1.95 in U.S. and $1.75 in Canada.
It's insane.
But it was a great experience to...
Well, you know what was a great experience? Having you on my show at this last-minute impromptu guest, and I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this, because we did plan on having Tom on, and it happened tonight. So I want to thank you again. I also want to give a special shout-out to Michael Norton, who usually watches me from Florida. I'm sending out prayers to you, Michael Norton. I love you, and I hope you get well very, very soon. Thank you, Tom Chiarella, for this again. And check out BackInTimeTravelingShow.com. Go in your attic, look for your old toys, and get in touch with Tom. Thank you, everyone, for watching Loving on Me. Tell everyone you love them. Life is so short, people. See you next week, everyone. Ciao.